I'm sorry. Me. You said you want to talk about the Department of Education. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean that's one place to start. Just because we you just played that clip on there.
Thank you, Lily.
And I know that was you were making the argument that he was saying if they teach certain things a certain way, which I can understand the disdain in that. But overall, I am definitely a big fan of eliminating the Department of Education among multiple other departments.
Okay. Can you give me one good reason why we should get rid of the Department of Education?
Sure, I'll just kind of give you the spiel. So it was established, I think, in '79, and before that, we had the number one schools in the world, the number one performing schools in the world, K through 12. We had good higher education, and literally the year the Department of Education was created, you had spending skyrocket, you had administrative staff skyrocket, you had students per classroom go up, you had test scores go
Department of
down.
Education was established in 1867.
The federal Department of Education.
Yeah, the United States Department of Education. Uh,
Hold on, that doesn't
uh,
sound right to me.
for the earlier incarnation with the same name, established in 1867, see the United States. Sorry. Before that, it was called the United States Office of
So
Education.
I'm getting from
Um,
the U.S. Department of Education.gov that in 1980 Congress established the Department of Education as a cabinet level agency.
yeah, so
So
as a cabinet level agency, before that, it was the United States Office of Education. So it always existed as a federal entity.
but did it have authority over states in
Yeah,
education?
because the United States Office of Education.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what that office encompassed. I don't
Sure.
think they had
Well,
that
let's read about
authority.
it.
Okay.
Sure. We just want to make sure that we're right. Oh, so the United States Office of Education, and this makes perfect sense, right? So while they were giving out land grants,
Hmm.
all across the United States for people in terms of westward expansion, they were also creating agricultural schools and things of that nature in those areas, and then giving them free access to those agricultural schools so they could learn how to farm the land. Um, so yeah, like
Yeah.
they had an office, an entity that literally worked in the same manner. But the U.S. Department of Education, that the Office of Education ended in '72, and
Okay. So it
then
sounds
they
like there
created the
was.
Department of Education afterwards.
It sounds
So
like there
before
was
that,
some
do
narrow
you mind if I
applicability.
finish though, really quickly? I promise I'm gonna let you talk.
Okay. Sorry.
Yeah. So
Thanks for the sub.
before
That's
that,
okay.
the Bureau of Education and the Office of Education were part of the U.S. Department of Interior.
Hmm.
They were a subunit, right, of the U.S. Department of Interior. So they still existed. They weren't their own branch yet. Same tasks, same idea, just weren't their own branch. Okay,
Um, I'm
cool.
okay.
All right.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah. I mean, I it doesn't sound. It sounds like there was um, some narrow authority within the federal government in a specific circumstance, but I don't think they were guiding the curriculum generally for K through 12 education in
Yeah,
this
they were.
country. It doesn't sound like.
Yeah, they were.
So why did they create the Department of Education then?
Because they needed to be their own, because the country had expanded substantially since 1867. Many more states, many more jurisdictions, many more municipalities, many more schools. So obviously they needed their own department because of the expansion of the country and the expansion of our population.
And you're saying that this Office of Education was funding and providing guidance to curriculum for K
Correct.
through 12 schools throughout the country.
Correct. Now, you have to understand that prior to desegregation, schools weren't as heavily regulated. But after the desegregation of schools, now they had to make sure that they were actively participating in schools and school curriculum and things of that nature. So, yeah, they were actively participating in curriculum before, but it was more geared towards agricultural or mechanization of the United States of America. Whereas afterwards, right, they were more geared towards making sure that everybody was told the same story.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to. I've never heard of this Office of Education. I'm trying to find something on it. Where? What link did you find? What website?
Uh, Here, I'll give you the.
Okay, here we go. I found it.
Okay.
All right, the U.S. Office of Education, now known as the Department of Education or the
Oh,
Bureau
now
of
known as the what?
Department of Education.
What was it called
But let
before?
me finish. Was a
Hold on. What was
small
it called before, really quickly?
the Bureau of Education, and then
The Office of
to now
Education.
now known as the Department of Education.
Oh, okay,
Was
got
a
it. All
s-
right.
was a small unit in the federal government of the United States within the U.S. Department of Interior from 1867 to 1972, and is now separated into and succeeded by the U.S. Department of Education. So it's saying it was a small unit in the federal government.
Same thing I just said.
Yeah, well, I was kind of making the point that
Same thing I just said.
no,
Bro,
it's no
bro
longer a
just literally
small
said
unit.
verbatim what I just said.
It
Is
sounded
this
like
what
you
it?
were
Yeah, hold on.
reading
Did the
it.
country grow? Did the country grow from 1867 to 1979 or not?
Yeah, but I think when they say small, they're talking relative to the time, not in general.
Jones is getting a taste of when a man says this exact same thing that a woman said, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden
all day, every
everyone's
day
like,
to me.
"This is what we feel like, Jones."
And I'm always like, wow, amazing, riveting shit.
So
Almost like I said it myself.
the Office of Education, their purpose was to aid the public land grants in state colleges.
Isn't that what I just said?
He
No, I
said
said I
all
said
that.
did they influence the curriculum of K through 12 education?
Oh my god,
And you said yes. It's saying here that their purpose was
he
to
can't hear
aid
you.
in. I mean, did I not say K through 12 education?
He said all of this. You're just reading back to him what he
You
already
weren't
told
paying
you.
attention.
No. But I said, were they guiding the curriculum and funding K through 12 education in the country? And it's saying that they
Thank
dealt
you.
with providing classes in state colleges for agriculture. Those are two very different things, are they not?
What is
Give
it?
me one reason to be here.
What is it that you think the federal
Turn
Department of
back.
Education does currently?
Well, currently, so what they do is they provide a curriculum,
No,
for example, Common Core.
no,
Yeah. So
no, absolutely not. No.
Me, I implore you to read her username.
yeah, no, I was a teacher for 4 years.
Okay.
The Department of Education does not write curriculum. The states write their curriculum.
Well, it depends. If you want federal funding, then you have to take their guidance on curriculum. So
There
they take.
are certain like minimal standards that have to be met federally.
I
But
don't
as
know.
far as like
Common
the
Core was a pretty intrusive
they
curriculum.
don't even have that in every state currently, and they don't. The federal Department of Education does not provide funding for curriculum, and they don't write curriculum.
Oh no, they surely do provide funding. They take from tax dollars and
No, I'm
depending.
not saying they don't fund the states. They fund the states through grant programs. They fund like public transportation. They most of their funding that goes directly to schools has to do with making sure that all the states comply with like Americans with Disabilities Act, 504 plans, and IEPs for students. They do not write curriculum. The states write curriculum. And the ironic thing about
Then
this
what is Common Core?
is that okay.
Curriculum
And
written
the
by the
ironic thing
states,
about
dude.
this
That's
the
a
ironic
curriculum.
thing about this is that the Department of Education, before it was called that in 1980, all the states followed the same standards of curriculum that were written by the Secretary of Education of Massachusetts, Horace Mann, who took over as Secretary of
Voluntarily though.
Education in that state. No,
Yeah.
who took over education in that state in 1837. And then all of the other states followed suit. So they all were taking their curriculum from him. And
Thanks,
now
Mama.
it is each state writing their own curriculum. There's a reason why there's a multitude of reasons of why our why our education system used to be number one and now it's like 23.
Thank you, Terry.
It's
Because of
because
the Department of
states
Education.
Wrong.
no.
It's the
It's
most
because
incorrect statement
they
ever.
No me
gave the
jodas.
power they gave the power of funding and writing curriculum over to the states, and that states that are like have higher poverty rates and don't have the proper funding for their schools are the states with really bad test scores and really bad performance
We
and
had
high dropout rates. And all of those states bring the rest of the states down. If you just went by
well, we
Dude,
had
knowing Amanda,
Massachusetts and
thank
New
before
you.
Jersey,
1979.
Yeah,
they would
correlation
we would still be
causation
number one.
fallacy, bro. You're just saying words. That doesn't mean that's the reason.
But if you look at the graph,
It doesn't. No, that
in
doesn't
1980.
matter. That doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
But it's the same pattern.
It does not matter. That's correlation causation fallacy. Do you know what that means? Correlation doesn't mean causation.
Okay, but when you have a repeating pattern in education, in healthcare, in the drug war, in
Yes, the Republican
Social
Party,
Security.
right? The Republican Party under Ronald Reagan, right, became the predominant party, and this is where the South, right, the conservative South, now started voting red, and allowed these people to eliminate, you know what I'm saying, all of the things that were making the poor and middle class great.
Well, we were talking about education, and
Yeah, that's
what
part
I'm
of it.
saying is if you
Hold
look
on.
at the actual-
So hold on, me. Are you telling me that in Massachusetts, which has the highest education in the country, and in that same county that has the highest education in the nation, also has the highest income in the nation and the highest tax revenue in terms of personal property taxes, that those kids are just
people.
those kids are just you know,
Rich people
innately
are gonna
innately
stay
smarter? Are you saying they're innately smarter than
Yeah,
the
they're
people
rich.
that are in Biloxi, Mississippi?
No, they're
He
rich.
thinks
They have a
he
choice.
thinks there's
of
no
schools.
poor
They
people
can
in
choose good
Massachusetts.
schools.
He thinks there's no poor people in Massachusetts.
No, we're talking about public schools. We're not talking about people who get to choose to pull their kids out of public school and put them in private schools. We're talking
Yeah,
about the ratings, test scores,
wealthier kids do better in
outcomes,
school
graduation rates for
Why?
public schools.
Why?
because they have more resources. 'Cause
More
they have
access
a
to
more
funding?
stable home.
Yeah,
Not
no, it's
necessarily.
because
More
before the
access to
department,
funding.
no, before the 1980s, there was much more equitable access to resources from schools that was dispersed throughout the country. Now,
Not
the
federally.
states have gotten less and less equitable because they are funded by property taxes in their states.
There
So
wasn't
the
more federal
states with
spending on
low property
education.
taxes have less funding. Therefore, they have poor. It's all about money.
Hold on.
It's all they have got poor outcomes because they are in poverty.
There was not more federal spending on education before the Department of Education.
No, I'm
It
not saying
skyrocketed.
overall there was more. That's not what I said.
But
I
they're
said it was
spending more
more
money and
equitable
the
than it is
results are going
now.
down. How does that make sense?
You're not
It was more
listening, dude.
equitable than it is now.
It was more equitable
Hold
before
on,
the
I have a
Department
question.
of
Just
Education was created.
I have a
agree.
question for you. Out of curiosity, what subject did you teach?
English.
English. So, definitely not math. We can tell.
I'm looking at the graph right now in front of my
Sir,
face.
do you understand how averages work?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're grading students, you know, you're giving students grades. If they have hundreds on everything, and then one test they get a 40, what happens?
The average goes down.
Right. So if you have a state where many of the districts do very well, but then have a handful of districts that do shit, what happens to that state's rating?
The average goes down.
Mm.
But hold on, she was arguing that you had more.
And it has to
equitable
do with
funding
inequity in
before
funding.
The Department of Education. How is that possible if we're sending money to DC and they're allocating it out as they see fit? How would we have?
Where
more
does the most of the
equitable
Department of Education's funding go to, bro? Do you even know?
funding? It goes to public schools. Who
Wrong.
who
Nope.
adopt,
No, it does not.
federal
No, it does not. No, it does
The part
not.
is that Amber actually went through this. She actually told him, and he
Yeah,
forgot.
Yeah.
it goes
And he said,
it goes to college funding, Pell Grants.
That's another big problem. Look at colleges; they've gone up 3,000%.
Why? Why did that happen? Why did that happen, me? Why did that happen?
Because the Department of Education subsidizes student loans.
Wrong. That's not why it went up. That's not why it went up at all. They state funded schools didn't even have tuition prior to desegregation. That was Reagan who put these things into place.
Talking about the 50s now, the 60s.
Desegregation happened in the 60s, at the
Yeah,
end of the
that's what I said.
60s.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Ronald Reagan is the one who made sure that people had to pay for state funded schools.
Okay, so let me explain my understanding of this. So we had the government come in and go to banks and say, if you loan money to a student, no matter how dumb the student is, no matter, like me, I was a horrible student. I got F's,
Clearly.
I graduated.
Clearly.
And well, now I'm a
And
successful
some states said that you could teach
so
kids.
It is what it is. But so
That's why they're not doing well.
okay, so hold on, let me finish here. So, and then you go and you tell the banks, if you, no matter how much, you can loan this person $50,000, $100,000 if they're a straight F student, as long as they're in college. And then that student doesn't care how much they're paying for college because they're borrowing it, and the bank doesn't care if they ever get paid back because the government's guaranteeing it. And then tuitions go up 3,000%. You're telling me that's not the fault of the guarantor? The Department of
California led the way. As governor from 1967 to 1975, Ronald Reagan ended free tuition at the University of California, cutting higher education funding by 20% and declaring that taxpayers should not subsidize intellectual curiosities.
I agree, because it makes it worse. They ruin everything.
That's why our country's education system is bad. Because the teachers are trash. Because they couldn't fucking just go to school. Now they gotta work and go to school.
Then why was education better before the Department of Education?
Because people got to go to college for fucking free.
And why was college so expensive now? Because they subsidized.
Because they didn't
Oh
want
my
fucking,
God, there's
they
no
didn't
way
want
there's
black
anybody
people
this
and
dumb.
minorities to go to school. So when desegregation happened, they made it fucking expensive because guess what? They couldn't afford it.
No.
How are you this dumb?
No, they subsidized school loans way after
There's no way I'm gonna keep having that conversation
Thank
with that
you.
idiot.
Thank you.